Did I ever tell you about so like Calgary's pretty dry. Um and because of that, like a lot of people suffer from like eczema or like any like kind of dry skin dryness from things
Eczema.
like that. Did I tell you about this?
No. Maybe, I
You
don't
just
know.
thought, like based on what you're talking about, I have a story then. Brittany had some like pretty bad eczema on like her arms, and it was like it's awful stuff because there's not really like a cure, right? Like it's
The
you
only
know, they
thing I'd
give you,
ever
like-
heard that could help with that is like some very specific diets have like been shown to
which
help.
she did.
Maybe
So she eliminated like wheat and corn
Yeah.
and like eggs and everything
I heard,
like that.
keto
to try and
diets
see
were
if that
pretty
was any
effective.
cause, and it really it wasn't helping. And like you could try like topical creams and things like that, or like even if you go to like hospitals or doctors, they have like steroid creams, which is fine, but like you can't use that permanently either.
No, it's
Like,
not a
it's
long
good.
term
It's not-
solution.
It's not long term, exactly. So like you end up suffering from this stuff, and it's horrible, right? Like you're itching, you know, sometimes like your skin's
No, yeah.
bleeding, like it's brutal. So we were at a friend of ours' place, and just like a couple that we knew, and like one of the guys in the couple, he's Chinese, and his dad owns a traditional
Yeah.
Chinese herbalist shop, and like the 1,000 drawers, kind of all different kinds of medicines and whatnot, like more definitely like Eastern medicine. And he was making dinner for us, and knew that Brittany wasn't eating gluten, and it came up in conversation that at the time this was because of this eczema. And he was like, "Oh man, like I didn't know that was the reason. Like I wish I had known. You got to go see my dad. Like he's got this shop, and like he'll help you out." And like at this point, we're like, "Sure, like,
Anything-
I don't put a ton of stock into this stuff, but
No.
like, listen, like let's try.
Yeah.
What do you
why
have
not?
to
We'll
lose?
give it exactly." So he's like, "Yeah, it'll totally work." He was telling us a story. You know, they had a friend who had gone to like some South American country, had like lived with a tribe that was kind of like in the jungle, and like while he was living with them, they had like offered him this like rare jungle bird that he had ate, and this caused like a really nasty skin disease for this guy. Like he said, he used to come into the shop and like you could like smell him enter, like he was
Oh my
like
God, like-
rotting, kind of like nasty
He
shit.
was dying.
Yikes.
And this apparently like his dad had cured this.
Jesus.
Like so you were like,
he cured
okay,
it by
like, sure, let's
shooting
give
him
it
in
a
the
shot.
back of the head.
What's that?
He cured it by shooting him in the back of the head.
Yeah, exactly.
Put me out of my misery. All right.
So
Boom.
he's like, yeah, you
Cured.
gotta go. He's like, I'll make the appointment for you and everything. He's like, I gotta let you know though, like the ingredients can be kind of scary. And we're like, okay, like what are we talking about?
Like human toenail.
He's like,
baby
you know,
teeth.
he's like snake, scorpions, like things like that.
Okay.
And it's this tea that you drink. So we're like, okay, like sure. I'm like intrigued because I like love like this kind of shit, right? And so we get to the shop. The guy like inspects her skin. He's like, okay, let's take a look. He's like, yeah, no problem. Like, yeah, give me a few minutes. He gets out some like butcher paper. He's making like a few different packs. And he's like getting ingredients from all these different drawers, and like sure enough, it's like a
Okay, hang
fully-
on. Like, so
Yeah.
this isn't like he's not like, oh, eczema, and like turns around to like the wall of like bottles and powders.
No, he was
behind.
like, seems to, like, be making it up.
He's like whipping this up for her.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh wow.
like custom kind of put together. It was pretty amazing.
yeah. I just wanted
So like,
to get that part like clear that
yeah,
this guy is just like grabbing shit off the shelf, like a bit of this,
Yeah.
a bit of that, like
yeah, it's not measured. It's like handfuls. Like
yeah.
of, like, things.
All right.
So like the first ingredient is like a full coiled dried snake, like big spiral
Oh,
dried snake.
God.
So I'm like, there's that. There's like a whole bunch of like centipedes, like that are like they look like candy canes, like they're like dried
Huh.
and full, and he's like cracking them in half. Like handful of like water beetles that are like probably the size of a toonie, and like all kinds of like roots and other crazy shit. And like I was expecting it to be wild. I was looking at it like
that's crazy.
oh my god, like it
That's
was
a
wild.
different level. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. So the whole thing was like, he's like, you take this home, you boil this in like 4 cups of water, boil it down to 1 cup, and then you drink that 1 cup. And then he's like, the next day you reserve what's in that pot. You do the same thing, but with 3 cups of water down to 1 cup, and you drink that. So it's like super concentrated, looks like mud.
I would
Like,
say
it's-
so.
Yeah,
Now, before you
It's
left, did
just-
he like grind this up into a fine powder?
like
Oh, so
full pieces.
you brought home snakes, water beetles,
Oh, yeah.
scorpion. Oh, fuck.
Into a pot. Now Brittany couldn't look at it.
No, yeah,
Fair
I
enough.
guess you can't.
So it was my job to brew this tea for like.
How bad
however
did it
long.
smell?
It smelled bad.
Yeah,
And
Smelled like it looked?
gross.
yeah.
Yeah, it smelled like it looks. And like, I have a photo I'll find for you. You can link that in the description of the video below. We also have a link to the,
Also, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Smash the like button.
That's right. Yeah. If you want the
Oh
recipe,
my
don't forget to
God.
follow along.
Yeah, and also let me know your water bug recipe if you've ever done anything like this
That's right,
before. Love to hear
yeah, I
from it
wanna
in the
know-
comments
let
section.
us know in the comments.
Down below.
Do you know why they do that? Do you know why they say shit like that? Because
We're not
that's
finished my
doesn't
story.
it-
okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. We always interrupt you, Zach.
That's right. So like like Brittany, we drank this. I tried it for what it's worth, so I knew what we were getting into. But I think it was like 3 or 4 months of like drinking this like basically every day, and
Fuck.
it cured it, man. Like Brittany's eczema is gone.
Never
like, permanently
returned.
gone. Never came back. No more issues. Nothing. Like fully gone.
That's fucking crazy.
But it like
wild.
had to go through some processes. Like they were after like a few weeks of it. They like when we came back, he was like adjusting the recipe.
oh.
So like I opened up the pack one day and there was a whole new bug in there that I hadn't seen yet. And like it was giant. It looked like a wasp, but it was probably like 3 inches long. Like,
oh
it was
my
like,
god!
a murder
It was a murder
hornet.
hornet. There you go.
Might have been, man. Yeah, murdered
Yeah.
the eczema. But he was like warning us. He's like, it might get like you might think like your skin's getting worse like for a little bit.
But it's
'Cause it's, like,
actually
fighting-
it's getting better.
It's like fighting toxins with toxins, right? He's like, so like whatever's like causing this, like you're gonna push it out. But like he's like for the first little bit, like it might like look pretty nasty.
He's like, for the first
it was
little
never-
while, you're gonna think you're drinking snakes and water beetles, and you're like, this has
exactly.
zero effect on my skin. Don't worry,
Yeah.
that's totally normal.
Yeah,
What you need to do
fight
is
through
keep
that.
drinking snakes and water beetles,
Yeah.
and eventually, I promise, maybe it'll go away.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But
Sounds like a
the
movie.
point of all
Yeah,
this
it's a
is
hard
that it
sales
totally
pitch.
worked. Like
Yeah.
100% worked. And so like I was blown away at the results. And like I mean I'm assuming Brittany was too, but I'm a skeptic. So like she's into like, more mystic stuff. So like it may be easier to wrap your head around. But I was totally skeptic.
I would be
And
too.
so
yeah.
yeah, it was pretty amazing to like watch it kind of come together and like totally work. And so now I'm like, man, if I'm ever like in a pinch where I like need a remedy to something that's like really causing me problems, like I'm going back to this guy and be like,
Well,
okay, doc, like what do you got? Like start like let's whip up
let's
a
party.
recipe.
Yeah.
Yeah. you know?
You got any dried whale dick in there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what do you got?
She was also in a unique situation where this wasn't her first stop on the fucking cure to her eczema. Like she
Yeah, tried everything else.
She tried everything else, so you know what? You might as well drink the mud water made of snakes.
Yeah, why
And
not?
why not? Like, sure.
It was
What's the
touted
worst
pretty
that
highly.
happens? I continue to have
Exactly,
eczema
yeah.
that doesn't get
Exactly. If
fixed.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
You
At
might
least
as well
try it.
try it. Yeah.
But it did work. It was fucking crazy, man. So it was like pretty uncomfortable to drink stuff, pretty nasty to make it,
Fuck.
but it worked.
Did he ask to like see her skin like every like couple batches, or was he just like he like knew in his brain
From-
where like
I
she
think
would
from
be?
what I recall, there was only like one kind of check-in. Every time we went to go get another pack of it, when I say pack, it was like the guy had like a square of like butcher paper, would put all the ingredients in.
Oh,
then
I
he
can
would, like,
picture
fold
it
up
totally.
and tie it with
Yeah.
like butcher's twine. Like it,
Yeah.
it was pretty crazy.
Put it on a scale, be like, that'd be $563.
Yeah, now I know because it was like the friend of ours, like his dad's shop. I think they were giving us like a pretty good price, so I can't speak to like what this would cost for the average consumer.
No,
But, like,
speak to
we're-
that, please. We'd all like to
I-
know.
Like I think it was like for what we were paying at least was, I think it was like $100 when we would pick it up, but we were getting like a few packs of it, and that would last you like it was like the month or so. So like it wasn't bad.
Not
And
bad
like
at all.
at that point, if someone's like, "This is gonna help,"
It doesn't
and
matter
you're
what it is.
suffering.
It could be $1,000.
yeah,
If you-
you're willing to pay.
Yeah, if he showed her like a time thing, it was like, okay, in 6 months is what it's going to be, and it's going to be gone. It's going to cost you
Yeah.
$5,000. I don't think she'd care. It's gone.
Yeah, who knows, right? Like, at what point are you willing to like look past the pains of an expense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
if you know it's going to help.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. So yeah, I have like a whole newfound respect for like Eastern medicine. I don't think it's the cure all. Like sometimes it's touted to be, where people say like, "Oh yeah, you can like cure cancer."
It's
Like
definitely
I don't
not.
think so,
No.
but I do think maybe it's got more benefits than like I personally gave it credit for.
Well, like there is a lot of fucking herbal medicines out there that have been shown to help in conjunction with other things too.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
and
I think
find,
Western medicine has its place. I think
For
there's lots of
sure.
times where like you got to go to the hospital, you got to go to the doctor,
Yeah.
you got to take like, you know what, like I have like those little rollers from Sage, like the peppermint oil. I'll
Yeah,
use that
when you
for a
have
headache when I've got a
headaches, yeah,
headache.
we have those
But
in
I'll
our
tell you
house.
what, sometimes my headache's too bad, and then I take an Advil.
Yeah,
And like,
because those things
that's the
don't work all the
balance,
time.
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I know
Yeah, it's the
exactly.
balance.
Yeah, the things that bug me is when people are like, only fucking herbal holistic ways to go,
Yeah,
because
that's not the way to
because
go.
there's a lot of those things that scientifically do absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Like
that
they
ain't
don't.
it, Chief.
Yeah, like exactly. This shit's not gonna fly. And then it also bugs me when people are like, "No, don't try that. Don't try the
That's right.
herbal shit because it won't do anything." It's like, okay, for
Yeah.
sure it won't. It's like, and then there's all the obvious things like rhino horn. Yes, this absolutely won't do anything because of this. But then there's a
Yeah.
lot of herbs and stuff like that that do work. Like you can put them in bats.
Yeah.
You can put them on your fucking forehead and stuff like that.
Roots, teas, things like that.
Mhm.
Like that stuff stems from like centuries of
Well, here's a common one.
experimentation, and
Here's a common
Yeah,
one that
let's hear
people
it.
don't think of that is
Coffee?
one. Ginger.
ginger. Yeah,
Like ginger's a root. It's a fucking thing that grows to the ground. But everyone
Yeah,
thinks
totally.
about ginger as like, oh, if you're nauseous, if you want to calm an upset stomach, have ginger tea, have this, whatever. And
Yep,
people
but
don't
it's a root.
think exactly. People
Yeah.
don't think of that as like, if I was to like come up to you and be like, hey man, try this root tea, it'll help you with your nausea. Like people would be like, whatever. But ginger is actually one of those ones that's like been proven. Yeah, it works. So
Yeah.
people don't think about it as like fucking hippy dippy potions.
Totally.
But
But, I mean, like that
works.
same, like I said coffee, but like only like half jokingly. But
No,
like,
but that's also
to a
one.
similar degree, right? Like,
It's also
okay, how
one.
do you like you're tired in the mornings? Here's like people have discovered that you can make this beverage. It's hot, it's
Concoction.
stimulant.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you go down that train, then that's basically like any kind of drug that we're talking about. Nicotine, the same thing. We were talking about smoking earlier. Like that was, I mean, I'll use say like quote unquote medicinal.
Yeah.
At some point.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I'd love
Maybe
to
that's where it
do
originates from.
I'm sure it does.
Coca leaves, like chewing on coca leaves
Yeah.
for like certain tribes and stuff like that, right?
that chat stuff that they chew on in like Ethiopia and stuff and
That's right.
Somalia. I think that's
Yeah, it just
similar to
gets
like
you
the
high.
coca leaf. Yeah, you just fucking stoned all day on coke.
Yeah.
I don't blame them.